You guys remember the great movie, The Karate Kid? And so many of us have really found ourselves in that position where or that great movie Christine about the car, where you got the group of bad kids bullying the nerd that wears the reading glasses. And it's, this big group of big, tough, heavy-set kids against this one little tiny, scrawny kid. And it's the famous underdog story that has been the premise for so many, actual football stories and sporting event stories, but also that of just the down on his luck, overwhelmed individual that's trying to make good. He's trying to make 50 cents into a dollar. He's trying to get his kids a new pair of shoes. He's trying to be the family man that his dad never was. He's the little Dutch boy with his finger in the dike. It's just this scenario that is such a great premise for one of these feel-good movies. For a matinee, when you walk out, it's 2 p.m. and you're so excited. And it's because that movie had this underdog come up from extremely difficult odds and succeed. And this is the story of your life if you're a targeted individual. The key is not taking it personally, because obviously it is very personal. It is very personal. I mean, in my situation, the thing really is kind of like, how could you? How could you? Because I just finished the most difficult career with the most difficult 2 years that was going on in the most difficult 3-year neighbor stench, which was going on with a demonically possessed house with this chaos going every night. And I just finished 55 years of being the family scapegoat. I just finished all of these atrocities and slammed the door shut on so many things. And then I churned from that activity of slamming doors shut on terrible aspects of my life. And I still, somehow or another, I'm still able to have a smile and look towards a new beginning. And this targeting really kicks in. Okay, so if I were to take it personally, I wouldn't survive. So I'm not taking it personally. And I'm taking it as I'm the main character of The Karate Kid. And I got all these bullies. And it's a feel-good movie. Because with this cast of characters, it's obviously made to feel good. And I'm going to be the one that drives off in the convertible into the sunset saying freedom. And everyone's going to be walking out of that matinee smiling ear to ear because of my achievements and how I stayed true to the path and I stayed determined. And they couldn't win. They couldn't take me down. And it's not even my success story, but the good Lord's success story, because he's the one that's working through me and enabling me to keep going. Well, how could I have left out Rocky Balboa, right? The famous Rocky Balboa, comeback kid. But, these stories are all over the place in real life. And if you're a targeted individual, you are living one of these stories. And so am I. And we would never consider the coward's way out. And so we have these people to thank. Sometimes, when a bad situation comes up, I'm at the point in my life now where I kind of see, okay, good, this is gonna really eat up like 90% of my attention. And I'm gonna really pay attention to this a lot for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And it's gonna keep me busy, it's gonna give me a lot to do. But hey, I needed something to do. And it's going to end with this making me feel really good, because I've got to take care of this. I'm going to take care of it. And I'm going to feel great and very accomplished when I am done dealing with this problem. So never thought I could say it, but I am at that point in my life where I can see the good in the bad. And it's a slow process. It takes decades. So you're somewhere along this path too, maybe even further than myself. And then always sometimes, like when they happen in threes, like I remember I was supposed to have like $800, $900 in my account, but I had forgotten a few things. And I was up here by Wheeler Park, and I went right across the street to get some money. And when I got the money, it said that my bank account wasn't enough to to even support me taking out like $60. And basically, I had like $40 in my account, and I had to go 2 more weeks until payday. And I hadn't recalled what I had miscalculated. I just knew there was some grave miscalculation or corruption, and that I'm going to have to wait until working hours tomorrow to deal with this. And then the light turns green, but the little walk signal didn't turn on yet because I didn't have time to hit the button at the intersection. But, it's literally, the intersection's about like maybe less than 20 feet, really short intersection. So I just start to walk anyways, knowing that I've got more than enough time to make it 18 feet. And this huge truck, I see it and hear it come up right next to me because he's trying to turn left onto this street. And it comes up, and the hood of the car is above my head. So like where the engine compartment is right by my ear, and he revs the engine. And then as I'm starting to turn, he honks it twice. Bam, bam. And so it's like, and I let this guy have it with both barrels. And, so I had to confess it to a priest. And while I'm in the confessional, I told him, and they don't want to hear excuses, but I had to add, it's because I just found out that I had no money for the next 2 weeks. And this guy was pretty asinine behavior, pulling his engine and his car right up to my head and then revving it and beeping the horn. But, so that situation was dealt worse with than I normally would have dealt with that situation because of the prior situation. So we can all act out of character, but especially when these bad things come in groups of 3, which it's kind of superstitious, sounds like, but I've kind of seen that a lot all throughout my life. So, don't be hard on yourself if you really reacted to one of these bad things in a dramatic way and lost your peace. It's because you're human and there's been a buildup, right? And so we just take that deep breath. We regroup, and we think, okay, this is like a 3 or 4 step process to recover from this. What's the very first step? And you just get started on that first step. You've been through it so many times before. So I hope this message resonates with someone out there. God bless you. Have a good day.